As someone who takes home over $1 million a year, I've set a limit for me and my fiance to spend only $40,000 a month. And I know that sounds high. It wasn't always like that. And in the end of this video, I'm gonna show you how I budget everything. I have a pretty smart strategy. I actually started using this way back and it helped me always stay on track. The $40,000 is an allowance that I allow myself to have. If I needed to bring it down to $20,000, I'm able to do that. But it's only because I have a system and a process in place that allows me to spend exactly what I need to spend. I have a certain spending ratio that I don't go over. That ratio consists of my allowance, my investing, and my savings. All right, so here's the breakdown of where my money went. And before I get into that, I just want to let you guys know that as I've scaled my business and I've made more and more money, my allowance has gone up. It wasn't always like this. I actually moved to LA in 2019. I was making $10,000 a month in profit, and I only allowed myself to spend $4,000 a month. I actually lived in a 10-foot by 10-foot bedroom. It was a tiny little bedroom, and I was very, very scared to spend any money. But as I made more money, I gave myself more of an allowance. I had a certain ratio, so I was never worried. And obviously, I'm always reinvesting into my business. I'm very aggressively investing back into my business, and that has allowed me to make more money. It's also a constant battle of, should I save everything and put it into real estate and blah, 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 and all of this stuff and then reap the benefits later? Or should I enjoy my life now, right? Because the last thing that I want is for the next 20 years to save every single dollar, put everything into investments, real estate, make more and more money, and then look back and say, damn, man, my 20s and 30s, I didn't live that well, you know, or probably more like from 25 to 45, I didn't live that well. You know, I wasn't enjoying my life when I had great health, when me and my partner were young, when we didn't have kids, all of that kind of stuff. And I want to let you know that I am not perfect. I am always a work in progress. I'm always trying to get better with my finances. Actually, finances growing up were not good at all. If you guys know me, you know that I grew up in Dubai, and my dad lost his job when I was 10 years old, and we didn't have a lot of money growing up. And it was very difficult being in Dubai growing up with not a lot of money. So I had to kind of lie and never go out and never do any of the fun stuff because my friends wanted to do stuff. Everything in Dubai required spending money, and I didn't really have any money to spend. So I would always lie, say I'm going to church and things like that. And so growing up, my parents really never taught me anything about money or managing my finances or budgeting or any of that kind of stuff. And obviously I took after their habits. And so when I graduated college and got to my 9-to-5 job, I was living paycheck to paycheck. And I know that this is a story that a lot of other people struggle with too. And it took a lot of hard work and discipline to get to a point where I'm actually controlling my spending and I'm looking at every single dollar. Now we actually have a habit of every single week, we look at how much we spent in each category. I have a finance team that sends me weekly reports on how much I'm spending in every single category. So let's dive into how much I spent in September. So the total came out to $39,157.40. Very close to budget, a little bit under budget. So I consider myself frugal that month. So the first and biggest category, travel. In that month, I spent $18,693 on travel. This is actually not a typical month in terms of travel. October so far has only been $3,400, but in September, I ended up going to Italy, and Italy was an incredible trip. It was 2.5 weeks long. We stayed, the best hotels. We went to Paris, Sicily, Lake Como, Milan, the Amalfi Coast, Capri, Venice. So as you can tell, it was not a cheap trip, and everything there required a lot of money. There was a lot of eating and drinking and fancy hotels and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, between the hotels, the travel, the accommodations, upgrades, all of that kind of stuff, all of that ended up running me $18,700 approximately. Next, we get into meals, $3,852. So food is a huge part of my life. I'm a huge foodie. I love going to restaurants, eating at upscale places. Every time I see an Instagram reel with some delicious restaurant in LA, I want to go. And I honestly never look at the menu. I never look at prices. I just order what I want and I get what I want. And this makes my fiance mad because we always end up over ordering. And I always tell her, please make me not over order in the next meal.
How many plates do you have?
I can't count anymore.
Nothing ever changes. And honestly, I work very, very, very hard so I can afford to eat at nice places because it's just one of those things that gives me a lot of joy. Next was healthcare, $4,952. Healthcare is comprised of a lot of things, including doctor's appointments, IVs, massages, chiropractor, physical therapy, multiple gyms that we're a member at. Brandy gets her personal training, supplements, and any other health-related stuff. I take my health very seriously. So this is another category where I like to spend a lot. I have coaches for different things. We have someone that comes over and meal preps everything for us. They even meal prep my supplements. So when it comes to health, it's actually a category that I'd like to invest more money in. And I would probably spend more money buying better groceries, like going to farms, local farms, stuff that's organic, natural, humane. I want to make sure that everything that I'm consuming and putting into my body is actually good. And I'm one of those people that preaches when you take care of the physical, the mental follows, and then everything else in your life follows. Your business becomes better, your relationships become better, everything in your life becomes better. Professional and legal fees, $1,800. You know, there's random here and there all the time. All right, next, this is a simple one. Cleaning, $600 a month. You know, we have a cleaner and we pay her $600 a month. Next, office expenses, $2,486. So that is a combination of stuff we buy for the house, the home office, clothes, different random, you know, objects, material objects. Honestly, this is not a category that needs to be a lot, but a lot of the time it comes down to clothes and, you know, buying a suit for the conference and things like that. Next, rent, $7,433. I live in LA in a high-rise, luxury high-rise, self-explanatory, right? But personally, I absolutely love living in this building. I mean, the amenities are incredible. We have a co-working space. My team comes over every Monday. We work from the conference room. They have free coffee. They have a 31st floor jacuzzi. I bring my friends over. We have pool cabanas, all that kind of stuff. There's 24/7 security. And honestly, I have a killer view. This is probably the number one thing that sold me is as soon as you walk into the apartment, I have a 180-degree view of downtown LA, Hollywood Hills, Beverly Hills. It's gorgeous and it motivates me to work even harder. Honestly, I don't have every single thing documented. I'd have to dig deeper, but it's all here in this sheet. Now, here's how I've been budgeting every single dollar for the last 10 years. Every single month, I download a CSV file of my bank statement. This is all of my banks. So if you have multiple banks and you're spending on this credit card, that credit card, this debit card, I download all of them and I compile them in one CSV. And I sort by income and then expenses. The income is self-explanatory. I categorize it as income. So I create a new column and I call it like category and then I put income. And then every single expense, I categorize it as a certain expense. Then I go into the next tab and I create a pivot table and I create a sum of all of the categories. So it says, okay, your income was 10,000. On this category, like health, you spend this much. On this category, food, you spend that much. And I can see how much I'm spending for every single category. Next, I have bills. Those are the minimum, the bare minimum that I need to survive. So that's like rent, food, car insurance, my car payment, my phone bill, all of those things that you have to pay every single month. Like it's non-negotiable, you can't cut it. So I have my income and I have my minimum, bare minimum expenses, and I have a difference. And I understand what my spending is per category. So now that I understand my numbers, I say I have 10,000 in income. I have 5,000 in bare minimum expenses. So I have $5,000 net. Let's say I wanted to save half of that. So I would say 2,500 needs to be saved. So I only have 2,500 to put in these other categories. So, you know, food, fun, travel, whatever would be 2,500. And every single month, I measure my actual spending on each category versus my limited and budgeted spending. And it helps a lot when you auto pull that 2,500 that you want to save. Now, this is going to take a lot of discipline because for me, honestly, I was always overspending. I was always exceeding my categories. So one other thing that I did was I created separate cards with limits in them. So for example, I created the Mickey Mouse card. It's actually a fun card that has like the Disney Mickey Mouse on it. And I would load it every single month with the maximum allowed to spend on food. And this was the maximum amount of money I was able to spend on food and fun stuff. So during the weekend, I would only spend from that card. And once that card ran out, then I knew I can't go out anymore. Obviously, if it ran out in the middle of a meal, I would give another card because I'm not going to be embarrassed in front of everyone because I didn't have enough money. I just overspent. But then after that, I know that I cannot go out anymore. So if in the first week I spent all of my budget, that means the next 3 weeks I'm not going out. If it happened on the third week, it just means that the fourth weekend I'm staying home. Maybe I'm getting Chipotle for $10, but that's it. And I know that there's tools out there like Mint and all that stuff that do it for you. But honestly, guys, when you do it yourself, when you're in the spreadsheets, when you're categorizing every single expense, it makes you a lot more bought in and you actually build more discipline because you're seeing every single thing. All right, guys, so hopefully this was a fun and entertaining video, very different than the videos I usually do. Now, if you want to learn some Amazon, check out this video.